All right, in this video, I'm going to go ahead and show you guys how to set up your pneumatics system. Okay, so as you can see, there's an image right here that you can follow. And there's one thing that I would do. Well, there's a couple of things that I could do different here. All right, number one, this right here, the location where the valve is, that valve is is broke all the time. So we're gonna go ahead and build it, not build, but we're gonna go ahead and do something different, so we don't have to use that. All right, so also we have others information here that may be helpful to you. What is what are they coming with? So they got the air pressure gauge. So this will tell you how much air you got left. This right here, where my hands is. Then you also have the air pressure regulator. This one right here is where my hand is right now. This one is the one that control how much air, how much psi of the air come out. So the tank is 100 psi. When your code is running, it's gonna run out this way and it's gonna go through the regulator, and then depending on how you set it, let's say you don't set it at all, let's say you don't even have it on there, the air is just going to keep going and it's just going to run out to the tank, the piston, and then the piston is going to do the maximum strength, whatever the piston can do. So it's going to expand and close, it's going to push out and close, and then every time it does that, the air in the air tank gets lower, and as the air tank get lower, the force get less and less. All right. However, if you put it in the regulator right here, and let's say you set for 30, I'm using 30 because now under here, they explain a little bit about when your air tank is set to be 30 psi. The regulator is set to be 30. That means the tank is 100 psi in there of air, and then it's come through here. It's only allowed 30 psi of air to come out. So the piston just gonna give me 300 psi, and of course at 30 psi the force not gonna be as strong when there's no regulators. Okay, however, it's gonna be constant. That means every time I'm doing it, it's gonna be 30 psi. So it doesn't decrease at all unless the tank inside, the air inside the tank is below 30. So after you run a certain amount of, how many cycle that you're doing in and out, and the air in the tank get below 30 psi, that is when you don't have that constant anymore. Okay. And of course you can still do it, I believe, down here. So right here at 30 psi, if you're using the short piston, you can have 80 of those cycles before the air is get below 30, and then it's gonna not gonna do like that anymore. It's gonna do like this. All right, slowly. Okay. Same thing with the 50 with the medium, and then 75, which is give you 40. All right, that's the longest one that we got. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and show you guys how to set this up, and there's multiple ways that we can control this right here. Okay, so let's do it. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take this out of the bag, and then I'm going to go ahead and protect it. All right, so there are, if you have a robot bump into it or something, it's going to have some scratches and maybe it's going to puncture. I never seen that happen, but maybe if I want to just decorate it, this is what we're going to do. I'm going to get some stuff. I'm going to buy it on Amazon. And this is what we will use to wrap like tennis racket. They have multiple colors. I'm going to use this color right here to decorate my. And then it's going to be a hitch string. All right, so this diameter here is about 38.1 millimeter. That is 1 point something in inches. So you can use that information to buy the dimension of this. I bought this, I believe I bought this for 40 millimeter. It's a bit bigger because this is 38. I bought the 40, and then I use a heat gun to string it down. Okay, So when that is done, I'm going to go ahead and put in this right here at the end. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and put in the two endpoint. Like this one, I'm going to use the angle one. You could use a one that is straight, like this, but I like to use the angle one. That is because then I can just rotate it to the angle that I want. Of course, sometimes you need to go straight up. Then in that case, you're going to use the straight one. Okay. So one up the end, I'm going to go ahead and explain to you what I'm going to do with it. So this one is where it's supposed to be a valve, right? But I'm going to go ahead and not use a valve right there. I'm going to go ahead and build something. So first, I'm going to go ahead and take a tube, a piece of tubing here. I'm going to go ahead and plug it in. And by the way, when you plug it in, you cannot take it out unless you press on this red little part here. You're going to press it in, and then you can take it out. Okay. Otherwise, it won't come out. That's how it go in. Make sure you push it all the way in. All right, when that is done, what I'm going to look for is next is I'm going to go ahead and use a little T right here, okay? This T going to help me to insert one right here, and then I'm going to go ahead and use this gauge right here. This will tell me how much PSI I have on in my tank. So that is right there, adapt. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and take a valve. All right, I'm going to insert this valve on here. One thing to know about this valve is that it's hard to see, but there's an arrow right here with the arrow pointing one direction. The arrow is, I believe, is pointing towards the air tank, wherever the air inflator, right? Wherever you put air in, is facing that direction. Now, it doesn't matter. Maybe I'm wrong. I think I'm right, but if I'm wrong, when you put air in here, and then after you've done it, and you close it, this is closing, right? When it's perpendicular to the tubing, that is closed. When you open it, it's parallel to it. So let's say when you close it after you air up, and then all the air come out, you know that it's in the wrong direction. So all you have to do at that point is flip it around, and then you can go ahead and re-air your tank. And this time when you close, nothing gonna happen, okay? But I believe the arrow is pointing outwards, like towards the inflator. All right, so this right here, the length depend on you, all that. This is done. So that is, let's assume that the right sides are connected and everything, there's not no leaks, okay? We're ready to air into this. So first we're gonna open this, and then we're gonna take our inflator, and at the end of your inflator, you're gonna have to make something like this. And I'm gonna show you how to make this in another video, but you can catch the parts here, right? So this is gonna go into the inflator at the end of the inflator, and then you're gonna insert that into this location right here, and you open the valve, and then you pump your air in, and when it's reached 100 psi, you're gonna stop, and then you're gonna close it, and then you're gonna go ahead and take this out. So this right here is a quick way for you to air your tank. All right. So this too, I'm going to show you how to make it in another video. Right here on the left side, that's how you set it up. On the right side is where you're going to go ahead and connect this to your piston, your cylinder. So let's say this is a piston that you want to set up. You're going to have this. Sometimes we will use a little angle even. They don't use the straight one, but I don't have the angle laying around with me right now. So I'm going to go ahead and say this is what I want. All right, first, that's what you're going to do. But then you also need this right here, one of the solenoid. And you need this, okay? So I'm going to show you what to do. And if you can look at it, the air going through completely through here. So air go through the direction of my finger, right? You can see the hole. That way it's air going through, okay? So what you're gonna do is you're gonna build it up so that it looks like this right here with all these adapters. So air gonna go in and air gonna come out. All right, and this is where when you program this for air to come out and not, right? So that what we're gonna do is I'm gonna take the tubing here, plug it in, and connect to my tank. So now at this point, the air gonna flow from the tank out, follow this, come into this location, and then it keep going. But then there's nothing here, so it's gonna leak, right? So what we're gonna do is at that location, I'm gonna go ahead and lock it. Let's say I only need one of this, so I'm done, right? I'm gonna go ahead and lock that right there. And then now what I'm going to do next is I'm going to go ahead and connect my piston. So I'm going to take air hose, connect to this, and then I can connect to this one. Okay. And then sometimes this works perfectly. You don't need to connect to the second one. But if we follow the diagram, we're going to go ahead and get another tubing here. And then we're going to take that and we're going to connect to this one right here. Okay. So right now, when you run your program, this piston, the air coming out from your tank, coming up here, this gonna tell you that the air gonna go through. It's gonna go ahead, cycle based on your code, true and false, low and high. Okay, and I'll show you guys how to code that in another video right here. That's how you set it up. Now there's another way of setting this up. Let's say you want only use one of this. Okay, if you only want to use one of this, one of the solenoids, to run two different pistons. All right. Now I set this up, but let's say I want another piston set up and I want them to run at the same time. So that's why I'm using this right here. It's have to run at the same time on the same line of code with the same button on your controller. All right. So then I can do this by remove one of them and take that and put it on this side. Now, sometimes that works, sometimes it doesn't. Don't know why. All right. I have some student was unable to do that. So there is a fix for that. There is a way to solve that problem. So we're going to go ahead and take this out real quick. What we're going to do is I'm going to go ahead and need a couple T right here. Okay. So let's say one side here, I'm going to go ahead to the T, this, and then one of the end of the T, I'm going to put in a little tubing section that I need. And then the other side, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to put in another tubing that I need. And then voila, I'm going to connect that and that. So what happened here is the air going out from the tank, follow my fingers, going in here, and then it run through up here to the T, and then it go to the front and the back. And voila, that's how it's going to work, right? And you can do the same thing on the right side, all right? And then the whole thing gonna works. Now, that is one solenoid. That thing right there is, let's say we're gonna set it on one button, and then we have to select the cables. The cable gonna come out to be like this. It's have green and red, those two sides. So you're gonna plug them in. And here is some easy fix on some of your issue. So if you plug this in and you run your code, and instead of closing, it's actually pushing it out. So if that's the case, all you have to do is swap the location of the green and the red cable, and that helped the problem. So now when you run the code, it should close instead of expand. Okay. Now you can also do that in the code by changing high and low. So that's it. That's how you do that. And then of course, this end you're gonna plug it into. You're gonna plug into one of this port right here, the one with the letter A to H. And there's only one way for you to go in. Be very careful not to hurt those pins. It's damaged. This thing is gone, right? Another thing is when you connect, because depend on where you're placing this solenoid, it may be far away from the brain, you may need an extension. This extension, connect to it, it will come off without using the zip tie to zip tie them together. So I got the zip tie to go through this section, wrap around it, zip tied it, don't pull too tight, but not too loose that it's come out, right? And that's how you do that. Now, what if I have another piston that I want to do something else? So let's say this is my piston that I want to do something else. What do? Well, you need to get one more of this, and then you're going to connect the air from here into here. Okay, so you just continue doing that. And of course, the diagram, like I mentioned before, the diagram is online. You can look into it. Okay, this is how I set up my piston. Enjoy.